Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Welcome back to the show. We are joined once again by Taja Clarke, the founder of Down and Out Counseling from the Bronx, New York. Welcome back. How have you been?
I'm doing all right. It's good to be back.
I know it's been a while. Tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do for people that may be new to the show today.
Yeah, so I'm Taja Clarke. I'm the founder of Down and Out Consulting. The purpose of the company is to help people get to their new beginnings or get to a better place than where they are now. It was founded in a place where I didn't have a way out, and I didn't have a new path, and I was down and out, hence the name of it. And I wanted to help others get out of their situations of that sort. A couple of things about me: I work in cybersecurity. I'm in the tech space and the finance area.
God bless.
A little bit of a hard to explain, but that's me on a regular. I do a lot of mentoring. I do a lot of
coaching. Yes.
Yeah, I'm doing everything right now.
And what aspects do you really focus on as a coach? You know, everyone has their niche in a sense.
Well, my main thing is personal development, and that typically falls into whether it's finance, making a better financial picture, whether it's setting goals, maybe moving on to your next step, and then just general wellness, whether it's fitness or just trying to get to a better spot health-wise or just physically.
Beautiful. Well, I love that you continue to work with so many people, and you just always, I remember you telling me since you were little, you just had a knack of talking to people, right?
Yeah.
And some people have that, and it's amazing how, you know, you're working in another field in a sense, but you're still helping people and you're doing this too. How do you manage both as a coach and work? Yeah.
I have a really big calendar. I just try to find time on the weekends. I intentionally do nothing. I just relax and just kind of give back to myself on weekends and holidays. And then during the week, I'll try to map around like my lunch break or just when I'm just after work, before I eat, before I do anything like that. So I plan out my week on like the Sunday mornings. I'll plan out what I want to get done from my business perspective and from my work. Then during the week, I initiate to execute that. And on the weekend, I just relax. And then on the Sunday afternoon, plan for the following week. That's been working so far.
Love it. Well, let's talk a little bit about some of the things specifically if you want to break down, or for today, since it's been a while, let me just ask you, what did you want to focus on?
So I wanted to talk about new beginnings because I feel like that's a very complex topic for some people. Everyone believes that a new beginning should be something that you can feel it in the air, that it's something that you just know it's time. And that's not always the case. A new beginning could be something that is very overwhelming or just something that was just, it broke your heart and it made you push to something different. But a new beginning can look differently. It's not always, you know what, I'm going to wake up and I'm going to make this $1 million company today. It's not always so clear cut and so straightforward. So my focus is to help define what a new beginning could be. It could just be a simple thing where you just say no, or usually say yes for a lot of things. You just say, you know what, instead of saying yes, I'll get back to you when I have thought about this, and then I'll let you know how I feel. That could be a step to a new beginning. It could be something as simple as just, instead of going out, staying there, instead of staying and going out. It depends on the person and what their situation is. But I believe just to define what a new beginning could be could make it more easy for people to recognize when that pops up for them.
Always hard though with new beginnings, right?
Absolutely. It's rough.
Yeah. And what do you find most people they're fearful of change, or what is it normally that, you know, make people so afraid, would you say?
Honestly, I feel like a lot of the problems that pop up is a lot of people are scared of succeeding, which is very controversial. They know that they can do it because I know that with some clients, when they're getting the action done and they're feeling like the motivation to get it done, when it starts to look different and they're not sure what to expect, that fear of actually being successful will scare them. So they tend to sabotage and go back to old patterns because they know what to expect in that cycle. When it's new, you don't know what it's going to look like, who it's going to be with, or where you're going to end up. So it's a very overwhelming process. For some other people, it can be something as tough as guilt, knowing that you deserve better, but having to actually go through it and get to that place. There's a lot of guilt to work through because you have to then confront, do I believe that I deserve this spot, that I earn it? A lot of imposter syndrome pops up, but it's a lot of different things for different people. But I believe the fear of guilt and the fear of success might be the biggest two things that stop you from making a change and being committed to it.
My goodness. I mean, it's scary. What are some of the things that you find most people to be afraid of when it comes to this?
I think advocating for their worth, honestly.
Okay.
Like, it's different when you know you deserve better, but when it's time to actually
Yeah.
say that to the people that you saw as someone who was higher than you or someone in a power role, it's very nerve wracking to just confront that directly. So you can know all the stuff in the back of your head. I deserve this. I deserve to be happy. I deserve to be where I want to be. But when it's time to actually advocate and say that, then all the nerves and all the guilt comes back, and you just feel like you're a little child in that situation. But I think it's the actual speaking up and vocalizing that might be very difficult for a lot of people.
Wow. Well, new beginnings mean so much. And have you ever experienced working with someone who tried a new beginning and maybe it didn't work out, but we're grateful that they at least tried, right?
Absolutely. I've had a few clients, they had a goal to get to a new career choice. They wanted to move to a different field. So we were working through different paths, what they can look into, what certifications they can do to get a niche in that market, some kind of expertise. When we did get to the point where they got an offer, they did not want to move forward. They realized during the process that they were comfortable where they are. They like the challenge. They like how things are very consistent, and they were happy. They assessed how they felt about their job. They were more appreciative of it after,
Yeah.
but going through the process of what helped them realize how they felt about the situation itself. And it wasn't exactly a negative. It felt like that initially, but it was more so how they felt within the job itself.
Got it. All right. Well, also with new beginnings, um, how long does it normally take to guide someone through during the coaching process, in a sense?
It depends on the person, honestly. I've had a very diverse set of clients. I've had people that I've spoke to one time. Like, I have a close friend that was one of my clients, and she wanted to go into a new field, I believe the medical
Mm-hmm.
field. We had one simple conversation. We talked about what was bothering her, what her goals are. And within that same week, she applied to the school. She found her major, and that was all it took. Meanwhile, I have another client who I spoke to. It took us about a few months, and we didn't meet regularly. We met like maybe once a month, and then he'll give me updates about where he wanted to go. And then a couple months later, he's like, "Hey, I did all that you said. I've paid off my debt. I've done this. I want to give you an update." And I'm just like, I didn't even know they did it by themselves.
Yeah.
Then I have another set of clients where they need more consistent calls. So when we have the call, meeting with them is what holds them accountable. Because then I'm going to ask them, "What did you do? How did you accomplish your goal? How did we get there?" But it's different per person. But those are the three tranches I've seen so far of how it works. It's either they're ready, just need a little pep talk and some steps. The other one where they have to kind of wrap their mind around, and the one that needs a little more hand holding throughout the process.
Got it. Well, what else about new beginnings did you want to add?
Honestly, my main thing is just being open to it. In my own personal life, I'm going through a transition myself into a new space that I didn't really see coming. It was a bit unexpected, but very, very positive in a sense. It's very interesting because for me, I had the bias as well that new beginnings should be something that you could feel. Like, when you're ready, you feel it. It'll look a certain way. You'll be in a certain spot. You're ready to receive it. You have this giant house or this giant ideal of where your finances are, and then you'll be able to make that big step. But for me, it was in the midst of everything that I was still planning. So I wanted to kind of speak on what it meant to have a new beginning, because it's something that there's a misconception that it's just something that's right on time. It comes when it wants to, honestly. Whether you're ready or not is up to you. But when it comes, that's the time you have to kind of take advantage of it.
Yeah. My goodness. And when you're empowering someone like this and going through this, what would you say was that epiphany moment? Like, give me an example when someone like realizes, like, wow, this is working. This is good.
I'd say my most recent client. So we've been working on his finances. He's someone who's been working his whole life. He works two jobs and he never really sees the benefit of it. So in my terms, he's hustling backwards. So what we've been talking about is splitting up his paychecks into two. So the first check goes to the heavy bills, and he'll just prioritize that and use the rest for stuff that he wants, whether it's new shoes, just something fun to keep him motivated throughout the month, and then use the other half for the remainder of the bills. But to make a plan to target it. The first few weeks, I think we meet bi-weekly. The first few weeks he was a bit reluctant, so he'll listen to it, he'll try to see how it worked for him, but he didn't exactly go into it. And we had a call, I believe, last week. And when I answered the phone, it was like a whole different person. He was energetic. He was happy. He was proud.
Yeah.
He said, "I did it. I split my bills. I had money. I got myself these new shoes. I did this." And I'm just like, okay. So he was coaching me. Most of that was him just speaking to me and giving me the update. But I can feel like the passion, the motivation. He's starting to see the benefits of his results. And I feel like that's one of the most like magical things. But that's something where I didn't expect it to happen so fast because the way we were speaking, it didn't seem like a lot of progress was being made at a very efficient rate. But for him, it just connected. He's like, I'm ready. He did all of it, and then he saw a big change, and he was, I'm gonna do this. I have another goal. I'm gonna hit it by this month, and I'm like, okay. So that was very inspiring, honestly.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. It really is. And I just feel these are the types of things that are so important in life and your help guiding people through these situations. But there's also more to the work you're doing. What other thing can people come to you for?
Generally, just anything because I have my free introduction call. We can just talk about just regular stuff because everyone is different at their own space. Some
Mm-hmm.
people just need someone to talk to just to kind of have that connection with people. They might be on an introverted side, they might just be in a space where they don't have as much support as they like. But I do
Yeah.
have the free introductory call on purpose just so you can just connect and get to know me. We can try and see where it goes. But we can talk about anything. It'll be anything as casual as food. I love food. We can always talk about hours. We can talk about shows, movies, or if you have questions about like what's going on in your life, how to feel, we can just talk about whatever you have on your plate at that moment.
Yeah.
But very open and flexible.
Do you do like relationship coaching too by any chance? Just curious.
Um, as it comes, it's not something I specialize in per se. I tend to
Mm-hmm.
kind of stick to the stuff that I'm very confident in. Relationships are very versatile. Each one is different. Each person is different. The needs change based on the people and how they interact and how they grow as life changes. So I tend to focus on things like finances about them. But if they do come with it, I can give as much advice as I can. But it's
Got
not
it.
something I specialize in that
Got
sense.
it. All right. Interesting. Well, if you are just tuning in, just want to remind everyone we're here talking to our Taja Clarke, our founder of Down and Out Counseling. She's really changing that around, and you won't be down and out after, we do the consulting. I should say it's Down and Out Consulting, and she's here helping people with everything from lifestyle changes, personal development, and keeping track and keeping on guard, which is a hard thing. And you mentioned now since COVID, right? Is that when things kind of, that's when you were personally down and out and things kind of changed?
Absolutely. I remember like it was yesterday. It was a very uncomfortable time because I remember I just got my first salary job. I was still in school for my associates and I just got my role. I finished a program that taught me the technical skills to work in that field. So I was very on top of the world. I had this new field. I had a salary job. I was the first in my family to have a salary job in that sense. I was very excited. Then COVID happened, and I remember that there were layoffs, and the most recent employees, which was myself, were laid off because it took a lot of money to train them. And with the stuff with the business and the client shrinking in that field,
Yep.
it's easy to just let them off. So I was laid off. At that point, I didn't know what to do. I didn't have another job. I didn't have as much money in my emergency fund as I'd like. And
Mm-hmm.
as time went on, it depleted paying the bills that I had during the time. So my fund went from like a couple of thousands to just zero. And at the end of it, I didn't know what to do. Luckily, at that point, I did find something new to work on, a new position to help me build back up my finances. But during the midst of it, I didn't know where to go, what to do. And I just felt very lost and very uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm. And I've been through the same situation. We've all been through loss, and with the pandemic, I ended up losing my job, and that was something huge. Thinking, how am I going to do this? What am I going to do? And how am I going to pivot? And that was like the hardest thing. Are you still helping people like change careers as well?
Absolutely. Yes.
Good. And what other, aspects of your work do you really love? What do you love about this, connecting with people and helping them change for the better? It's got to feel good.
Absolutely. I just love like seeing the effects of my contributions in the world. I like seeing people get better. Like usually when they come to me, they're very sad. You can feel the anxiety when they speak, the pressure that they have on their shoulder. And as we talk more and more, I see it relieve and they become like this light. I just love seeing people like become light and just spreading it in the world. That's my motivation in life to help make things better, make it a better place than how you found it. That's what inspires me to go every day. So when I can see that in others and have them do the same, it's a beautiful feeling. But it's just honestly just doing what I think is my duty, just helping out as I can because I do have the skills to help and I have the time. So I just want to make sure I can do as much as I can and help as much people while I can still do it.
Yeah, so true. And it's a gift, we're very thankful for and grateful for it to wake up every day, to live a beautiful life. And I just wish people also felt better about themselves. There could be a lot of people that lack self-confidence, lack drive, like, a little more afraid. And they're, they need like consulting, I would assume, on like self-confidence. You do that as well?
For the most part, a lot of the stuff when they do have goals, we usually end up on the why, the big blocker, and it's usually some kind of emotional barrier, whether it's guilt or obligation or just some distorted view of loyalty, what it means to be loyal to someone else and not yourself. So you're putting yourself below them and doing what they need while you're still here just drowning, trying to get the bare minimum. But it usually ends up going back to why do you feel this way? Why did you learn this habit? And then we work for it once we do kind of pop that little bias.
Love it. Well, also, can you share some other stories of some other things that you're working on with people, or I should just ask you what else, did you want to share for today's show if you didn't want to discuss that?
Well, the most recent clients are the one with the financial impact where they started doing the most work and they're seeing the fruits of their labor. And it's a beautiful thing to watch. They're motivated. They're taking their first vacation soon. So that was really good because they haven't taken a vacation ever. So that's just a giant check mark right there. The next one, I believe, is another client who started going back to school.
Mm-hmm.
They had a situation where they became a parent earlier than they expected. So it put their lives back in their own way, in their own words, from what they wanted it to be. So now they realize they can still have that and do something with it. It's not a period, it's a comma. So you can do something else with it. You can add on to that situation. So she's going back to school. She's very excited to go back into the medical field, which is very intense. But she seems to be motivated and she loves the drive of learning things and being just challenged with all these medical terms and all these different circumstances. So she's very excited about that. So that's pretty good.
Mm.
And I think the main thing is just when you have that moment, usually it just comes to you randomly. It can be a random thought of, what if I just did something else? What if I just stopped doing this? Or what it would be like if something was different in my life? It's something as simple as that that starts the whole path to doing something new. But I feel like when you do get those thoughts, there's a reason why it's coming to you. There's something that's letting you know that this might not be it for me. Maybe I want something else. Maybe I want to try a new path or do something different. I think you should listen to that essentially and try to figure out why it's popping up.
Oh my goodness. Well, it's always, gosh, difficult thing when it comes to finances and wanting to, but financial advice. I mean, what do you feel about, everyone was talking a few years ago about these buckets, and now like the bank companies actually on your order, like they, on your order, on um, your statement, they offer buckets. Like, how do you become more financially, independent? How do you recommend starting to save and change your spending habits?
Honestly, I think it depends on the person. The most general advice I usually give is whenever you do have money, always try to save something in your savings account. Always put it in a high yield savings account. That's the first step. You get higher rates when you do put that in there. So you can put like $20 and get like 4% back, even if it's a small thing. As you add money and you get interest back, it builds over the years. So start as small as you can, whether it's just $1, even if it's five, even if it's 10. Something's better than nothing. Over time, that money will grow, and the habit of investment is going to be automatic to you. Once you do have a savings bucket, and you feel like you can invest more, look into working into stocks. There's a lot of things you can invest in, but the most safest choice, in my opinion, don't quote me, just generally, is just the index funds because they cover a whole index. It's not an individual stock. So if something happens and the market is gone, you have a giant bucket of things to fall onto. It could be something real estate, it could be energy, it could be household products. Pick whatever you think is relevant, things that will last long. Like people can't just get rid of groceries. They need groceries. So look into stuff that has like supermarkets and stuff like that. And then invest as you see fit. But to kind of pace it, if you're in a place where your debt is overwhelming, just try to focus on getting your bills, paying on the minimums, and then putting something small in your savings as you get in a better spot, then expand to different avenues of investments.
Thank you for that. And speaking of finances, I feel like just everything has gotten so expensive,
Yeah.
uh, especially we're in the New York area, and I just don't understand how people can afford to rent the apartment. The prices, it's just ridiculous, let alone to own and to save to own is so much harder nowadays. I feel like we're seeing a lot of families and generations living with each other, our siblings, our parents, our family, a lot longer than we used to, which I think is a great thing, right? I don't think we have a choice in this town.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for a lot of families, when there is a space where it's shared, you can split the bills and have more money for disposable income. In that way, you can kind of make the best of it. ideally I've seen families when they have situations like that, they'll have some kind of system where they have one person cover the groceries, one cover the utilities, and then they'll start saving up for like their own place or their own car, and they'll expand over time. And because the finances are split between different people, there's more money dispersed amongst everyone else. It's just a matter of working together as a unit to get to a better spot. But it is possible. It's just not always likely. It's not always available right then to do that. But long term, you can work on doing things like that. And then because you have that, you can go on to have another property. You can do the same thing and expand to have more. But there are options out there. It's just a little bit tougher to be more positive in situations like that when it's not a choice.
Now, who helps and guides you through things? Are you, yeah, do you have a coach? Does a coach have a coach?
I do. I'm very into mental health. I have a life coach. I have a mental health, and I have a huge support system from my family and my close ones. So I have my community as well. Whenever I'm doing something bad, they let me know, hey, this is not what we're going to do. We're going to talk about it and figure out why we're going this way, but they hold me accountable as well. So I have my own kind of support team that helps me stay on track to then flow into other people the same.
Got it. Well, I'm not a coach. I feel like a lot of times, I rely on my family. I talk to my family for advice, and that is not the best way to do it. Tell me the importance of going to someone who's neutral in your lives.
Yeah, I think it definitely varies per person, honestly. I have a bit of both. So my friends are typically people that they have similar experiences. When I have something big where it's just I'm trying to figure out what's going on, I want an unbiased view that can help me make a plan to get through, like my deep traumas, I'll go to a therapist and they'll walk me through. Because every family is different. Some families they're more supportive, more emotionally aware. Some are just they don't believe in certain things like mental health. They think it's an excuse to just not do what you're supposed to do. So it depends on how it's set up. But the way that I operate in my personal life, I have my support system. They're very, very mentally aware and very emotionally intelligent. So I'm a bit blessed in that area. And then the therapist helped me to make an action plan. So if it's a problem I've been having for like more than a week or a month and I can't get through, and my friends will give me advice that doesn't seem to fit, I'll go to someone professional. They'll give me a plan like, how do you feel about this? Where do you want to go? How do we make a plan to get there? And they're working with me to make an actual plan. So for friends, I think is a bit more general. And I think for a therapist, it's more of a long-term plan to help you get to where you want to be. It's more serious. It's more of this is a goal we're going to accomplish. How do we get there? How do we break it down? Here's some tools you can use. Let me know if it fits in the justice need. It's the whole treatment plan.
Gosh. Well, we still have a few more minutes left in the show. How did you kind of want to sum up for today about the work you're doing, the people you can help, and why you love what you do?
I just love seeing people glow and just like putting the light back in everyone's eyes. I feel like the world is a very tough place to tackle, especially if you're by yourself or you don't have the right support or you don't have enough support. It's very hard. So I like to just tap in and be that little light that gets you started so you can find your community and then have a better space in the world. But I think the biggest thing that I want to summarize is just that the importance of a moment. It's a single moment that asks you, that makes you just question or just doubt where you are and where you want to go. Just tap into that and see where it takes you. And just to remember that a new beginning doesn't always have to be like the movies make it out. It's not going to always be like there's a light bulb shining on you. There's a whole thing. You're on the stage and everyone's like, it's her. It's not always the case. And sometimes it's in the midst of your chaos. And you just have to kind of take the steps, be brave, and try something new.
Well, thank you for that. And sometimes you have to just take that leap of faith. So tell us how we can reach out to you, please. Would you mind sharing all forms of contact?
Oh, yeah. So you can reach me at downandoutinfo@gmail.com. I'm pretty active on my Instagram. It's down and out consults. It's consult underscore anonymous. I'm used to using the actual company name. That's where you find me on Instagram. There is also my Facebook page, Down and Out Consultant, but I'm more active on Instagram and Gmail. So if you want
Perfect.
to just email me or just send me a DM.
Will do. Thank you so much. Have a fantastic day. And to all of our listeners, please stay tuned. We will be right back with more and hopefully we'll connect again soon.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.